Thank you, sir. Sit down, man. So when anyone can see what they want to see, whenever they want to see it from wherever they are for free on their phone or tablet or laptop, how do we make a case to drive through the snow at a given time to a particular place and plunk down a lot of money to see our live performance? This poses challenges for attracting habitual users of live theater, to say nothing of converting non-users to users. Now, once upon a time, there was a perception that live theater competed with other live theaters, but now the competition is indeed the cell phone, the remote, and the mouse. So all live events, from pro football and baseball to symphonies to ballets to theaters, must consider themselves to be on the same side. In 1976, Mixed Blood was founded, and one of its primary objectives was to attract a non-traditional audience to the theater. Now, I'm not sure I know what a traditional theater goer looks like today, but the spirit of being a welcoming, inviting, affirming destination for everyone has remained, and in 2013 we call it radical hospitality. In 2000, Mixed Blood became deliberate in changing traditional theater marketing practices that dictate you get an audience member into the theater and then work hard to get them to return. We'd put retention on the back burner and ask more loudly, who is this play for? Who needs to be in the audience for this play to ignite for everybody in the audience? Then we went out and found that audience. The marketing staff called it hand-to-hand marketing, getting people in one at a time instead of hundreds with a single effort. There was a presumption that there would be a trade-off of finding who we wanted to have come with how many we wanted to come, but that proved not to be the case. Now, the first two shows of 2010-11, which was the last season before we implemented radical hospitality, ran at over 80%, each of them. One had African Americans as its target audience, and the other, performed in Spanish and English by a bilingual cast, had a Latino ambition. These two shows had 11 people in common in the audience that weren't subscribers. Virtually zero retention, yet that was deemed by us a triumphant success. We were getting who we wanted to have in our seats and in large numbers. But we at Mixed Blood had, throughout the decade, been asking ourselves who we wanted to have come that wasn't coming at all, who wasn't coming in desired numbers, and what were the barriers of that participation. We asked loudly and often and in myriad ways. We made a big list of hurdles that we heard once or repeatedly and became determined to conquer them all if possible. The one most often stated barrier was, not surprisingly, that price was a deterrent, and that live theater, as we've heard several times today, was an elitist art form, especially magnified in some of our targeted populations. So, to give you an idea, Mixed Blood resides in a neighborhood populated by immigrants and refugees, mostly East African and Muslim. On our block, there are 4,000 people hailing from 63 countries and speaking 92 languages. That was a target. For 25 consecutive years, Mixed Blood has produced one or two shows annually by, about, for, and with Latinos in 2 languages. And Mixed Blood, for many years, aspired to be a destination for people with disabilities, both on stage and off stage. Just in these 3, so through disparate avenues, Mixed Blood sought and acquired funding to allow free and discounted admission for these targeted patron bases, and had some really good success, which really magnified for us other bodies of people that we really wanted to work with and for. And it was also segregating our audience, which was antithetical to our mission. Mission is indeed the glue that binds Mixed Blood stakeholders, audiences, artists, staff, and board. Each may interpret it in his or her own way, but it is the glue that binds. And at Mixed Blood, its mission, not plays, is the product, and programming is the delivery system of that mission. So Mixed Blood's board and staff connected the dots of mission, vision, core values, and strategic priorities to consider demonetizing the theater experience. A year of board theorizing and 4 months of intense committee analysis and full board exploration created models and assessed the cost-benefit analysis. Sometimes the leadership at Mixed Blood can be like a walking fortune cookie, but we have a number of mantras, and so one of them, adaptability is our sustainability. Value is on a continuum of cost and quality. Let's get this back on. Administration is not fixed costs and programming variable costs. And then last, do not move slowly and be risk averse. Move swiftly and take risk. I'm just going to hang on to it. These 4 axioms served us well as we decided what to do, what success looked like, how to do it, and how to communicate about it. Nothing in the history of mixed blood has made me more proud than the depth of thought that the board and staff, you want me to just get it back on there? All right, I can do that, whichever you prefer. Than the depth of thought that the board and staff put into the determination to tackle what we now call radical hospitality, allowing anyone to see any main stage performance without charge. Now, the decision to undertake radical hospitality was made before any funds had been procured. Yet the first question we are often asked relates to the shifted financial model. Mixed Blood has two other primary programmatic areas, touring and customized theater for workplaces in the private and public sectors. In both of those other areas, a single host pays Mixed Blood for its services, and no one seeing the performance parts with a nickel of his or her own money. Radical hospitality is a main stage extrapolation of that third-party payer model and not as revolutionary as it may seem. I'm going to go, let's see what's next here. Mixed Blood's board president was instrumental in leading the conversation and heading a governing body unafraid of change. Mixed Blood's board treasurer was the comptroller for City Pages, that alternative paper that every city has that's given away for free. The Seattle Weekly, the Bay Guardian, Creative Loafing, Chicago Reader, every city's got one. These papers are distributed without charge, maximizing circulation, and thereby maximizing advertising revenues because of the size of that circulation. These two and a gaggle of public radio listeners truly got what was being proposed. So it works like this. Up to half of our 200 seats can be reserved online with guaranteed admission, which is a $20 fee that assures patrons that they can get into the theater, albeit still on a first-come, first-served basis for the seating itself. 2 hours prior to the curtain, the lobby opens, and anyone can get a pass to see the show on, again, a first-come, first-served basis. It's not pay what you can. The only transaction is contact information for admission. The results have been heartwarming and breathtaking. In the 2 years since radical hospitality was institutionalized, those attending using radical hospitality and those not using it have been exactly 50-50. Audience composition was transformed. Let's see here. Hello. Okay, so 52% of radical hospitality users are under 30. 32% of radical hospitality users earn under $25,000 a year. 30% of radical hospitality users are people of color. 11% self-identify as having a disability. And 9%, my favorite, claim to have never been to a live theater performance before. Interestingly, in each of these categories, the number of people is 3 times that of those entering on guaranteed admission. Let's see here. Boop. And so you can see 19% are under 30, 12% earn under 25,000, 16% are people of color. Now, with only one surveyed performance having been tabulated this season, the results are worth looking at. 71% are under 30, 61% are earning less than $25,000, 42% are people of color, 4% self-identify as being a person with a disability, and 23% claim to be at their first live theatrical performances. In the first year of Radical Hospitality, 2012, a 7-show season made up of all new unheard of plays, total average weekly attendance was 20% over the 2009 season, 18% over the 2010 season, and 8% over the 2011 season. Having gotten contact information from everyone, not just one per reservation, everyone over 18 is solicited for a contribution to the theater about 10 days after attending. From 2011 to 12, let's see here, we tripled the number of donors responding to patron solicitations in 1 year. Subscription, which had never been heavily pursued, shrunk precipitously and is now 1/3 what it was in 2011. In real numbers, that's 900, shrinking to 300. It was important that there never be a perception that Radical Hospitality lived on the shoulders of its artists. Indeed, salaries for actors and designers grew slightly to reinforce our continued commitment to their talent, to quality, and to the field. Significantly, substantially, and intentionally, Mixed Blood's org chart shifted from a vertical hierarchy to a lateral one. Marketing, development, and programming became more joined at the hip than ever. It is one decision to determine who we'd like to have in the audience, what programming speaks to that body of people, and how we support both the production and attendees of that show. We at Mixed Blood have become good at surveying. We distribute and collect surveys before the shows begin, ask for little qualitative response, and focus on demographic information. We're averaging over 92% response rate at any given surveyed performance, so our data is not extrapolated, it's accurate. Radical hospitality is far beyond cost-free admission. To become a destination, for example, for people with disabilities, we have a transportation fund such that anyone self-identifying with a disability can get a free taxi ride to and from the theater, as well as guaranteed admission without charge. We don't ask our audiences, what do you want to see? We ask ourselves, who do we want our audiences to be? It's a primary tenet of Mixed Blood that people like to see themselves on stage reflected in positive ways. Going to a Mixed Blood main stage shows has three components: the neighborhood through which you travel to get to the theater, who sits next to you while you're in your seats, and what happens on stage. Radical hospitality complements our location and programming in pursuit of the realization of mission and vision. A mission for us is not some verbiage with which to raise funds, it's something to achieve. Mixed Blood raises funds not to keep its doors open, but to close them once and for all, mission accomplished. Mixed Blood will be ultimately successful when it is no longer necessary. When the isms that plague America have been diluted or eliminated, we aim to transform the impossible to the inevitable. Being the best Mixed Blood that we can be, and by being unafraid of the last day as long as we live life on our own terms, will, I believe, simultaneously keep the doors open and close them if and when the time is right. We're not proselytes preaching the gospel of radical hospitality. It won't be that radical for long, but it urges others to examine their MO and ask themselves to consider and or make changes, big and small. Radical hospitality has moved us from being the child of our past to the parent of our future. Thank you.